got her degree from Purdue in 2004. She spent some time with Walgreens, and she may talk, are you gonna talk about your career path a little bit? Oh, and we already got her slides up, awesome. And then she went to specialty pharmacy, has been involved with pharmacy benefit management, and most recently, as you're gonna hear, has been working for Bristol Myers Squibb, and is now a national account executive in the market access division, and I'm sure she may tell you what that means, what that looks like. She also got a master's degree in health economics and outcomes research from the University of Florida, and her and her family live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's a pleasure to have you back. I remember Jamie when she was a freshman at Purdue, active in APHA ASP, and it's just a real pleasure to have you back on campus. Welcome. Join me in welcoming Jamie Wong.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay? It is such an honor. It's a true honor and pleasure to be back. It feels like yesterday that I was sitting, you on the Purdue hat right there. Congratulations. That's where my husband used to sit. All right, so how many people in here are dating a pharmacist? Okay, you're weird, just like me. But when I was through pharmacy school, everybody was dating another pharmacy student. It was so weird. But my parents are also sitting right where I sat, actually, which is ironic because they had no idea that I used to sit there as a student. So I graduated, as Dr. Barker said, with my PharmD in 2004. I became a balloon artist in 2011. That will be relevant here in a little bit as I explain that, but that is a skill that has been critical in my entire life. I earned my BCPS certification in 2015. I did it because I needed another degree, and it cost only $600. And so I did that. I think I studied about 300 hours in my free time to earn that. And in 2017, after a grueling 18 months, which should have been a 24-month program, I completed my master's in pharmacoeconomics. And so my current job, I'm a national account executive in oncology for Bristol Myers Squibb. And I don't know what my future opportunity is. And when you see my career path, you're going to see why. So this is me. Who am I? I am a typical Southern Indiana girl, all right? Everybody I met with this morning, I think all 10 of you are Hoosiers. So I'm a Hoosier as well. Grew up on a farm here in Southern Indiana. That's me showing my steer. This is what we wore in the 90s, okay? And that's how we sharpened pencils. So my professional work, I opted not to do a residency. At the time I graduated, my class was the last class who could choose a 5-year program versus a 6-year program. So it's the last class that could do that. Residencies were starting to become a thing, but yet we kind of had the option to not do them. I was very active in school, as Dr. Barker remembers, and I have a very innovative mind, and so when I see an opportunity, I figure out how to fix it. And that's how I've been very successful in my career. So I interned at Walgreens. They paid for my husband, Mr. Purdue, to go to Walgreens for a summer in Milwaukee. So they paid for us to go live somewhere else, which why would you say no to an opportunity like that? So we lived there, and they invited us both to come back because at the time there was a severe pharmacist shortage. And I remember Dean Pizzuto at our graduation commencement, he said, don't sign for less than a BMW. You think that's a joke? And I was telling these students, I had a sign-on bonus of $17,500, which is like $1 million at that time, right? And so they wanted us to work for Walgreens, and it probably wasn't the career path for me. However, I proposed to them I would like to completely revamp their intern program. I thought it was fine, however, it didn't meet the needs of the current student. I believe their intern program should be a bridge between that year of school and the next year of school. So they let me create a program for our students. Within 3 years, our shortage of pharmacists in Milwaukee was basically non-existent. And it was because we were recruiting the students and making them really feel happy about being pharmacists for us. During that time frame, I had 4 kids, and I was able to do a lot of other opportunities. I became a certified immunizer trainer. I know that immunizing is part of probably your pharmacy school curriculum. It wasn't for us. It was a brand new thing. Pharmacists had touch needles. And so we did that. We trained all of our pharmacists, and now pharmacists are critical in healthcare delivery, especially in the vaccination space. In 2012, I moved over to Dean Clinic, which is an HMO. It was a 9-to-5 kind of job, and we had the 4th baby on the way. We kind of needed that. If one of us was working 19 weekends, we need somebody at home. So for our family, that was the right decision. But during the interview process, I had learned that they would be opening a specialty pharmacy. And I knew that that was the trend, but I didn't know what a specialty pharmacy was and what they did. And so I had my baby, it was the fourth baby, and I came back after 8 weeks, and I had expressed interest, not even knowing what this thing was or what it looked like. And I said, I came back, and they had done all of the interviews while I was out on maternity leave, and when I came back, they said, we can't find anybody, will you take the job? And I said, yes! That was the dumbest decision of my life. Do you know how hard it is to get a business model up off the ground while having a newborn that you're nursing, working full time, and trying to create a brand new model? It was the best decision actually of my life, looking back, but it was very hard at the time. Because of that opportunity, a local PBM was opening their own specialty pharmacy called Navitus Health Solutions. It's a small plan, or small PBM of about 4 million lives nationwide, and they wanted to open a specialty pharmacy for. Dean was about 250,000 lives, now 4 million lives. And they had been interviewing, again, couldn't find anybody that had a national search because it was such a new field. I had a little bit of knowledge, I had room to grow. And so I said yes again to a very challenging opportunity and opened the Lumicera Specialty Pharmacy for a couple of years. And that was a startup. Fun job. When you run a startup, you're the jack of all trades. You do industry, you do ordering, you do contracting, you do literally everything. And so you get a wonderful experience. After that, I moved, and we're going to get into why your network is so important. I had industry calling on me, and I was so good to every one of them. I would help them, be innovative with them, generate new ideas, and they loved calling on me. And so they would bring their boss in to talk to me, and so when I wanted to make the leap into the pharmaceutical industry, and I didn't even know what these jobs were at the time, I was just like, yeah, that sounds good. I made the leap over. My first interview, I interviewed with a gentleman. His name's Gus. We work together now, and I still make fun of him for passing on me. So he didn't hire me because I didn't have the pharmacoeconomics experience that I needed, which you now know that I went and got that because no one's ever going to pass on me again. So he was able to get me on a different team in field medical, and then now I have my HEOR experience and degree, and so I've moved over to market access. At the end of the talk, we'll have more time for market access, and if we don't, you're going to schedule one-on-one time with me, and we're going to talk about it. So, they brought me in today because I think somebody, thank you Dr. Barker, I'm not sure who made this decision, thought my career path was interesting. I think it's interesting, I think it's a lot of serendipity, but that's not what I want to talk about. That's maybe what you want to hear about, that's not what I want to talk about because that's not what makes me successful. And so I'm going to talk about the stuff I wish someone told me when I was sitting in my dad's seat next to my husband, Mr. Perdue here. Your career depends more on your personal development than your education, okay? Take this point in right now, your personal development. Your personal development is not Purdue Pharmacy School, it's all of you. It's your presentation skills, it's your ability to connect, it's your work ethic and your drive, and we're going to talk about every one of those things today. So grades. I was such a nerd, I'm telling you people. Dr. Bark and I used to talk, we talked this morning about, or was that, I think maybe it was about lots, about people who watch the recordings about 5 times. I used to do that too. Grades, they're important. They are a reflection on your work ethic, and if they're a reflection to show anyone that you are willing to work harder than anyone else. That's what your grades are a reflection of, right? Because if you're a smart student, which I'm sure you all are, when you miss something on your test, you're going to go back and relearn it, okay? The person who got the better grade probably put the work in earlier. I was a 4.0 student because I wanted to get scholarships because pharmacy school is very expensive. I was putting myself through school. And it did exactly that. It helped me to get scholarships, but that's it, okay? And we're going to talk about that next step beyond getting that first job and maintaining your career. So if you have perfect grades here, which I'm sure many of you do, when I went through pharmacy school, they didn't let just the elite in, they let people like me in. And so if you have great grades, keep it up, keep doing it. But you're not going to have a successful career until you continue to develop yourself all the way through your career. I know that there's various levels of PG 1, 2, and 3 in this room, okay? For your entire career, you've had a teacher. Your whole career. Someone's been spoon-feeding you information, right? They give you a lecture, you study it, you learn it. And then you're going to leave these 4 walls and go out into the real world and nobody's going to teach you anything. Not a single person is going to sit down and go over a lesson and give you a test. When you leave these four walls, you are now your own teacher. You are now grading your own tests. You are now choosing what interests you and what you want to learn. This here is my nightstand, okay? This is my goal this year. I'll probably get there. I've got 3 books under my belt. I try to read about various topics. A lot of them is healthcare economics because it interests me. Not necessarily pharmacoeconomics, macroeconomics. So you're gonna have anti-fragiles about economic forces and same as misbehaving. I've got various books that will open my mind. I've got one about dyslexia. We can talk about that if we want. David and Goliath. And so these books will change. You've read it, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Dynamite. Love it, right? And so reading and learning is what will develop you as a person, because when you get out and you develop your network, if you're not interesting to talk to, guess what? No one's going to want to talk to you. One of the things I continuously try to do since the day that I graduated is learn one new skill and perfect it every single year, okay? So what does that look like? Maybe one year, I want to learn all about nutrition, right? And incorporate that into my life. Now it's just a habit. Now I want to learn about exercise and exercise physiology and how not to get injured and how to train. And so I'll take a year and I'll really focus on learning that. Now I know it, it's in my toolbox, it's how I live my life. So pick one trait or one skill every year and learn it. Some of my favorite skills that I've learned. My daughter, so I'm a Hoosier, right? And I'm living in Wisconsin. And my daughter is in 1st grade and I signed her up for the basketball team for the school. And a dad's coaching, well that's fine. And so I went to my girlfriend and I said, I really want to be a basketball coach, but I don't know how. She's like, just do it. I was like, but I don't know how. And then one of my work colleagues was like, oh my God, I do it and it's so fulfilling, you gotta do it. I said, well, will you help me? He's part of my network. He said, absolutely, I'll help you. He helped me develop practice plans and motivate my kids. So this has become, I've been coaching for 6 years now, one of my favorite pastimes. And the reason is not just because I like to coach basketball and because I'm a Hoosier and that because I went 20-0 my 8th grade year. Write that down. we engraved it in my parents' concrete. You think I'm lying? No, take a picture. So what I learned from these children is more than I could ever learn in my professional career. I've learned how to motivate young individuals. I've learned how to inspire them when they feel like failures. I've learned how to pick out their strengths. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. I have a lot of weaknesses. I won't share those because we need to focus on our strengths. So I look at finding their strengths. They may not be able to shoot high enough to actually get the ball up to the rim, but they have other strengths. Maybe they're really good at defense. So I find their strengths and I help motivate them to capitalize on their strengths. But the other skill that I've learned so many, but one of the most important that I learned from them was this concept of in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, they get equal playing time, okay? Equal playing time. So when every kid gets equal playing time and you don't focus on making everybody around you better, you're going to fail. This is what happens in our professional careers as well if we don't focus on every person that we're working with getting them better. Every one of you are going to work with someone who performs less than you do. You have a decision as a leader to make to bring them up to your level or go to their boss and go, Susie didn't do that right. Susie made a mistake. Well, Johnny needs to be fired. Wasting your time instead of bringing them up as a leader to be as good as they possibly can be. Because in the professional career, you get equal playing time. Another one of my skills. This is my favorite skill. It's going to become relevant later in this talk, but I became a balloon artist. And when I make my balloons, I tell my kids that I make balloons for, you too can become a balloon artist. All you got to go to is Balloon Making University. And the way you start that process is you go to youtube.com. We'll talk about this in a little bit later. What is the secret to having such a cool career path? This is absolutely critical for you to remember. It is your network, and your network starts right now. I did not know this as a student. It took many years for me to figure this out. And it's going to be the most single important factor in you having a successful career. So how do you even start? How do you make friends? First of all, Mr. Purdue, don't sit in that same seat every day. Find a different seat. Because I sat there. I didn't know that when I was a student. Reach out to groups that you don't normally connect with because they will teach you more than the people you sit with every single day. The other factor is be the best human being you can be, okay? What does that mean? That means mentor students. It means support your colleagues' ideas. How many times have you been in the middle of a team group idea and somebody's not supporting somebody else? You shut that person down. How about tweaking their idea to make them successful? Be empathetic to everyone's situation. So life is rough. Every one of you are going to go through tough times that people don't know about. And if you can be empathetic and put yourself in that person's shoes, you're going to be a better human being, and that person will come back to you. If you were their boss and they were going through a tough time at home, what it might be, a divorce, a kid sick, whatever, and you said, you know what, you focus on you right now and I'll be here for you when you get back, you are in their network for the rest of your life because you have helped them. One of the things that I'm most proud of, I loved mentoring students. I can't do it right now, and that's why getting this opportunity to come back was such a blessing, is having pride in watching others' success surpass yours, right? So you mentor them, they're great talent, and they go on to be wonderful things and do wonderful things. And when they come back and you have been a part of their success, it is the most fulfilling experience of your life. And guess what? When they go on to do great things, you're probably going to go along with them. So how else can you develop your network? People at my work think I'm crazy. I know everybody. I know everybody. And the reason is because I show up early. I'm at the gym with the workout, the gym rats in the morning before the national meeting. I'm there late in the evenings, and if people are at the bar at night, I'm there too, networking, opening and getting to know, I don't drink, I swear. Getting my chance to meet every single person that I can. Dr. Parker's laughing, I don't think I was supposed to say that. Say yes to every single opportunity, even though the time is wrong. All right, so when I said that I opened that specialty pharmacy when I had an 8-week old and it was really hard, I said yes, but that opened up so many doors to me. The other key is treat your technicians, your Uber drivers, your wait staff, your cashiers with the highest level of respect. I have a personal Uber driver because we have such a great conversation. We have such great conversation because I treat him with respect and he treats me with respect. And those things will open up some door in my life. I don't know what it's going to be. Embrace change. In order to develop your network broadly, you need to embrace change around you. You need to embrace that the people around you will change. I hope they do. If you're the same person in 20 years that you are today, you're an utter failure. You need to constantly develop yourself and make yourself better than you were when you started here today. Embrace those new experiences, but most importantly, be comfortable with the very uncomfortable. This is something I want to talk to you guys about. A junior pup faculty member when I was sitting next to Mr. Purdue. He was brand new to Purdue, and he came along with a guy named Val Watts. I don't know if you know Val. Okay. And I remember the students you talk about, the professors, because you don't do anything. And we were talking about this one particular professor, and the feedback he kept getting is that he worked too hard on his lectures for us. But we loved him. I mean, he was our favorite. But his people, I don't know whose people were, kept telling him he's working too hard on these lectures. And so I have this rule of life. The harder and longer, the harder I work, the luckier I get. My rule of thumb is no matter what I do, raising my children, paying my bills, not paying bills, raising my children, doing my work, doing my workouts, I work 10% harder. It's not that much, it's just a little bit, but it's enough to make you successful. That 10% is sitting right to the left of me today because he was the one who was working longer and harder than anyone else, and look where he ended up, and he is now your dean. That was the professor who was junior faculty when I started here, and that's the result you can get if you choose to work that hard. Your career and your family is a total jungle gym, okay? And so just like watching your kids jump from rung to another rung on these jungle gyms, there's not one singular path that you can take. If you take the jungle gym approach in your career, you're going to learn a lot of different aspects that are going to lead into another part of your life. And so it can really aid in your problem solving skills, and you never know when these new skills are going to come back to help you. And so I have 4 kids, so I have a family of 6. Laundry is no joke. I'm telling you, it is like a full-time job. And so I went through lean process training, so you know something about lean.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I finally said, I've got to figure this out. So I get out all my Post-it notes, and I time my activities, and I can guarantee you I have the leanest laundry in the country. When I'm at Bristol Myers Squibb, I got the opportunity to lobby for a few things. As part of my experience on field medical, I got to work with senators. I learned how to position things. They teach you these things in the industry to help get bills passed. And because of that experience, I am now working on a bill in Arizona. And we're not going to talk about dyslexia and what that means to me today, but we're working on a bill in Arizona that would require schools to screen. Indiana has passed this one, by the way, 2 years ago. Had to require schools to screen for dyslexia and intervene in kindergarten and first grade. It's passed out of the Senate 30-0 out of the floor. It's passed out of House Education Committee 13-0. We're going to go to the House floor in a couple weeks. And we already talked about basketball, coaching, and leadership skills. Now, you're not going to believe this. You're just not going to believe this. You have more time now than you will for the rest of your life. Well, the rest of my life. I'm pretty old, but got a little ways to go. You have more time now than you will ever. I know you don't believe me because I thought that I had no time in college and I was stressed to the max. I wasn't managing my time as well as I could have. You're given a number of days on this planet, and you get to choose how you spend every single second. Before I go to bed at night, I have a concrete plan of what's going to happen tomorrow. I know exactly when I'm going to work. I know exactly when I'm going to study because I still have to study for my work. I know exactly when I'm going to exercise. I know exactly what's going to be cooked for dinner. It's all part of the plan, and I execute every single day. I know how my time is spent. At some point, and we'll get into when and why that happened, there were certain things that I had to cut out of my life because they just weren't important to me. TV was one. I did watch the Purdue game, though. That was a good basketball game. My parents joined me for that. The Virginia game. Good stuff. When you can manage your time down to a wizard level, you can turn seconds into minutes and minutes into hours that you get back of productivity in your day. But you have to be very intentional with how you spend it. So I like to listen to a podcast while I drive or when I run to learn something new, a new concept. I process flow everything to get more time back in my life. And I ask myself, is this worth my time? And I want to tell you right now that traveling back from Arizona into West Lafayette is no easy task, but 100% worth my time to be here with you guys today. I want to be rich, and so I was meeting with Dr. Abel. If you guys don't personally know Dr. Abel, you need to go meet him. He's one of the coolest people that I've ever met. We met this morning. I was lucky enough to have him on one of my rotations as a student. He said to me, as a student, and I will never forget this, he goes, I just wish that when I got out of pharmacy school, I didn't eat all those shrimp dinners. What he means is that you make good money. It's not that much money. Figure out how to manage your money very quickly. Learn. Google. You have Google. I barely had Google. I got internet in high school, folks. Google financial management and learn from what you can, everything you can. And then if you want to go buy like a whole life insurance policy, or whatever it is, just Google that name and scam and see if it's a real deal. You'll find out real quick. Getting back, if you want to be successful in your career, you need to give back as much as you can to your community, whether it's your time, your talents, your money, whatever is most important to you to give. I listened to Dave Ramsey, he's a financial talk show host. His book is, I'm blanking on the name, but his motto is, debt is dumb, cash is king, I'm gonna pay it off, home mortgage is the new status symbol. So that's his philosophy, is paying off your debt. And, but one of the things he says is that once you get through this snowball of paying down your debt, you're actually able to achieve this portion in your life where you're able to give back. And when you can do that, you're gonna be living such a wonderful life to be able to give to others. Because it fulfills your heart. And when you are in your professional career and people see that that's the type of person you are, they want to work with you. They want to help you because you've helped so many others. All right, this is the slide where I'm supposed to say that it's easy to make all of this work, right? So I got 4 kids, I got a full-time job, I volunteer. Okay, there's no balance, people. Someone will come up to you and tell you about that. There's no balance, okay? I was emailing one of my MD Anderson docs on Friday night at 9:30, and we were saying, what are we the only ones still working, right? There's no balance. it's choosing to be intentional with how you spend your time, right? I have my time with my kids. I have my time working. I have my time being creative. I am intentional with every second of my day, and that's how you are able to achieve all this. Now, the secret is, to not get burnt out, is do it this way. Do every single aspect of your life with 100% passion. And if you're able to do that, you won't experience burnout because you're genuinely enjoying what you're doing. And there's going to be tasks that you absolutely hate doing. Hire somebody else to do them. Perfect your profession. You guys have a duty and a responsibility when you leave these four walls to make your profession better. Okay? My generation was lazy and I apologize for that. I genuinely think we were lazy and that's why we are in the state we are. Right now, when I left pharmacy school, retail pharmacy, we were making so much money, it was great. Signing for BMWs. I think the profession's in a state of war, and you guys have a responsibility to fix it. PBM reimbursement to pharmacies is beyond low. You can barely make a buck. Making $1.50 off of a 90-day supply of hydrochlorothiazide, you can make more money off a box of Tylenol over the counter. Specialty pharmacy is constantly hitting community pharmacy by making specialty go mail order. Patients don't want that. What are you going to do to change that? Research and development is exploding. How are you going to ensure that the cost and the access is available to patients when these new therapies come to market? Do you actually genuinely have the desire to make pharmacy the profession of the future, and what does that look like? My vision, if I did it all over again, is I would lobby with physicians to say, hey guys, just like you outsource physical therapy to the physical therapist, just like you outsource respiratory to the respiratory therapist, why aren't you outsourcing drug management to the pharmacist? That's where I see the profession should be. So timing. If you wait for the perfect opportunity, you're going to miss your chance. So make sure you're saying yes to every opportunity and start today. Because many of these experiences, that one new thing that you're learning, can start right now and impact your life in a way that you won't know how. Okay, I had to take a little sip of drink. I don't normally talk this long. I must be yelling at my kids. I don't know them, I'm just kidding. So, I've given you a lot of random stuff here. How does growth mindset and this random clown picture, balloon animals, specialty pharmacy, living my chosen life, saying yes to bad timing, giving back, how does this relate to my career and how does this relate to being successful? And so I want to share a little story with you about how doing all of these sorts of things can really impact your career and ultimately impact your life. And so, let's see what the next slide is. All right, so I had just started the Dean Clinic Specialty Pharmacy after having my fourth baby. So I had 3 other kids at home, I had a newborn, I was nursing, I was starting a new business model. It was terrible. It was an awful time of my life. I did say yes to it. And I was learning a lot, but it was a lot to take on. But I had one particular patient. He was 32 years old. His name's Jim Gainey. I have permission from his family to share this story. He had stage 4 colorectal cancer. And at this time, it's not curable. At this time, I was 32 years old, and I'm caring for this man. It's a specialty pharmacy model, so we mail out all of these prescriptions, right? So I've never met this man. But every single time I talked to him, he inspired me. He talked about how wonderful the day was. The sun was shining. I'm still able to work. I'm up on the pole. My kids are great, and I was able to take them to X, Y, and Z today. I feel wonderful. My side effects are bad today, but this other great thing happened. And so I went home and I reflected about this man who is going to die. He has a few days left. He has a few years. We don't know. He's going to die. And here I am in a state of absolute misery. I was miserable with my work. I was miserable with my home life. I didn't enjoy my kids. I was starting to have headaches. I was depressed and possibly even suicidal. It was that awful of a time in my life. And you're all going to go through periods like that. But I reflected on this man who basically inspired me to get my act together because my days here are finite. I only have a few number of days left. So how can I choose to live this life I want? So I completely changed with what I did. I managed my time. I looked at what's important. Where is it an important place to spend my time every single day? What makes me happy? And I changed the way I live my life. Fast forward to 2 years later, I had just started at Bristol Myers Squibb. So I'm traveling for work. I'm traveling all over the country. not in control of my schedule, and my girlfriend calls me. I had coached her daughter on the basketball team, all right, little Abigail, she's so cute. She called me and she said, hey, you know, our kids were at a little Catholic school together, and she said, hey, one of the younger members of the community passed away, and they were wondering, and they don't want to spend a lot of money on this, could you come make balloon animals, because this gentleman wanted someone to, you know, make his kids happy during his funeral and his death. I said, absolutely. I want to talk about saying yes to that timing. I was in Memphis, Tennessee. They don't give you much notice on funerals. And so the only way I could make it back is I flew to Chicago and then drove to Madison, and I made it in an hour before his funeral. And she said, by the way, can you wear a Superman shirt? It was this thing. Sure, I can wear a Superman shirt. So I went in there and I made balloon animals for a couple of hours during this man's funeral. I was on calls, and I still tell my old manager, I said, do you remember when you said, what's that squeaking noise? That was me making balloon animals in the background. And so, anyways, so I finished making balloon animals. These children were so happy. They were so happy. During their father's funeral, I had a room full of kids, and we were just having a good old time. And I left that day feeling so fulfilled that I had made these children happy on the day that probably should be the worst day of their life, their own father's funeral. And a couple weeks passed by, and my friend at the school called me and she said, hey, did you hear that Jim Gamey died? And I said, no, when? And she said, 2 Fridays ago. She said, I thought you would know because your kids go to that same Catholic school. I said, really? I said, what time was his funeral? And she told me. I said, hold on. I think I made balloon animals at his funeral. So here we are with the man who fundamentally changed the way I live my life. The man who I spoke to once a month, getting his Alota. I made balloon animals at his funeral because I said yes and showed up and made his children happy on the last day that he lived. I'm just trying to make you smile a little bit. And you would think that would be pretty cool and that would end there. But then, fast forward to 2 years later, we moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. I don't have to see snow anymore, it's great. So, just meeting new friends and getting up and running in the community, and somebody came up to me and she said, hey, can you chair the spring carnival? And I said, yes. And then I went to my other friend and I said, what's a spring carnival? And she said, oh, it's like planning a wedding. For you and your 2,000 closest friends. Okay. I said, but I told her I can't start that until I finish my master's in December, and then I got something else that I got to get trained on that following week, so I can't start till January. So here we are, I'm working with my co-chair in January. We are scrambling. I'm telling you people, we are scrambling. So I said, how about this? How about we make the theme superheroes? And so, because we can like make paper capes, and kids can run around and can wear their mask, and everybody has a superhero t-shirt, right? So we can, they will be the decorations, and we don't have to worry about it. So we did. Superheroes the theme. So I'll show you some pictures of this really cool experience. There's my daughter. Isn't she cute? You know, one of the advantages of your mom sharing the event is you get to go on all the rides and stuff before they even open. So she got to play around before the event even started. The teachers got in. Everybody was excited about the event, participating in our superhero-themed carnival. This was a point in my life where I had taken on too much. I just finished my master's. I went through a week-long training seminar on how to teach teachers, how to teach dyslexic students how to read, because my daughter's dyslexic and I had to teach her how to read. And I was tutoring her, and I'm trying to plan this carnival for me and my 2,000 closest friends. And I got to the point where I was miserable, and I'm sitting on the field waiting for the tables to arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, email, Facebook, and I was maybe crying a little bit behind the classes because I'm like, why the hell did I just do this again? And so this is what happened next. I see this picture from Bridget. This is Jim's brother. And so as I'm sitting there on the field, upset with myself, knowing that tonight there's going to be 2,000 people running around, so happy. That doesn't happen if nobody plans it, right? Someone has to show up and take the initiative to do these things. here I am knowing that that night there were going to be 2,000 people happy, and I was sitting there crying because of my own stupid misery. And this picture reminded me of what Jim taught me. He taught me to be happy in what I do. He taught me to reflect on what I do. And even during the darkest moments of our life, remember that there are a finite number of days that you are given here. Now look at this. Not only did he remind me of this was on March 2nd. March 2nd was a 2-year anniversary of his celebration of life. So this man continues to come find me for some reason on moments that I seem to need a little kick in the rear to say, you are given one chance to live the best life you can. Get out, say yes, volunteer, give your time to everyone, because you don't know how these experiences are going to come back and impact your life. There are 2 most important days of your life. You only get 2 most important days. The first one's the day you're born. And the second one is the day that you learned why you were born. Some people never learn why. I believe my purpose in life is to help other people become happier. I love throwing a good party, throwing a celebration, and sitting there and watching all the smiles around me take place. I have my first volunteer, where they pay me, volunteer balloon animal job on Friday, because I showed up at the Easter event last weekend with a balloon animal, and it just started making them and have a good old time. And so somebody hired me. They're going to pay me real money to do this now. I'm donating it to the school, but it's still my fun job. But find your purpose in life. I think my purpose is to make people happy and to inspire others to go beyond themselves. So, what are the secrets? Let's review. Because remember, I forgot her name. Say it. Say it again, and then say it again. No. Say what you're going to say it, and then say it again. That's what it is. Say what you're going to say it, and then say it again. So here we're going to say it again. What's the secret to a successful career? You have got to build a professional network and personal. I would have never had that life experience if I didn't coach basketball, right? All of these people will come back and touch your life. Learn one new skill every year, because it will make you interesting, right? If you can only talk about pharmacy, not a whole lot of different types of people are going to want to talk to you because you're boring. I was really boring when I was in pharmacy school. Dr. Barker will tell you all about it when I leave. Give back and share your talents with the world, because it'll allow you to live with purpose. Use the time that you were given, because tomorrow's not a guarantee, and build your legacy, right? So what are people going to say and think about you when you leave? It starts with building it right now. Who are you? What is your brand? What do you want other people to think about you? It's your job to build that. Manage your money like your time. And this is, I'm not going to give you financial advice as much as I want to, but manage your money like your time. Someone said to me one time, when they said, I like this one, he said, my daughter asked me for a new shirt, and I said to her, does that shirt bring you $20 worth of happiness? And if not, don't buy it. Does that cup of coffee bring you $5 worth of happiness? And if it does, buy it. But if it doesn't, then don't buy it. And this will be true no matter where you are in your career. The harder you work, the luckier you will get. And so, now, let's talk about the career. How much time do we have left?
About
Not much, right?
5 minutes or so.
5 minutes.
Take
All right.
some few
So I'm going to
questions.
talk to you really quickly about roles in the industry, because we've talked to a couple of people. I think you have a new industry club here that's really cool. When I got into the industry, I didn't know what types of jobs were available. There's an absolute ton of jobs, and you can go in any direction. When I was in school, I thought you were a traditional sales rep or commercial person who called on doctors and gave on-label discussions. That is the one aspect of the career that I knew about when I left pharmacy school. There's many others. One of the most common career paths for a pharmacy student, such as yourself, is an MSL, a medical science liaison. It's the coolest job on the planet. So you get to go out and talk with thought leaders, national and international thought leaders, when data reads out after major science congresses. So I didn't know this either. See, so you can do anything. So you'll go to a national congress, all the data's embargoed until it reads out at the congress. They read it out, the MSLs will go out and discuss it with the national thought leaders. It's a cool job, MSL. And so you get to discuss that information, and then you take the insights on how they interpret the data back to your company and actually develop your company's strategy. So that's the role of an MSL. You're constantly learning. It never stops. I felt like a student the whole time I was in that role. And so you have another kind of division. It's called the market access division, and that's my role. We traditionally call on payers. So we do any sort of contract negotiation. We negotiate formulary status. We've worked with large accounts. One of my largest is MD Anderson on contracting and partnership opportunities at the account level. So that's kind of another aspect that you can get out of the pharmaceutical industry because it deals with formulary placement. Another role in market access, which is really good for pharmacy students as well, but you probably need to go get your master's, is an HEOR, a Health Economics Outcomes Research position. And that's another kind of exciting career path you can choose. You can go in-house, you can do medical literature writing, so you can write up the articles if that's something that interests you. It's not my personality. You can get into regulatory affairs, you can get into policy making, so basically becoming a sort of a lobbyist, if you will, in Washington, which for me might be my next stop, I don't know. So those are sort of the roles in the industry. I was very unfamiliar with roles in the PBM as well after leaving here as a very green student. My husband currently works for a PBM. He's a clinical, an account executive. So his role is to go out to his customers, which are basically employer groups, let's say Kohl's department store. And so he sits down with them, talks about their budget, helps them to develop a formulary that works for their employees. So that's his role. There's other roles within the PBM, so you can become a formulary. You can be basically, I forgot what they call them. Anyways, you can help make formulary decisions. So you're informed, it's not form ops, I forgot, but anyhow, you're a pharmacist and you are the person they talk to override a PA. So that's another type of a position. So you review the PA criteria. There's criteria in there that help, there's roles within PBMs that you write med policy, right? So when will this drug be approved? When will it not be approved? So those are all kinds of career paths that you can take within the PBM, which are pretty cool. And then roles in specialty pharmacy. So specialty it's not defined yet, guys. Even when I started several years ago, it's been an evolution. So the specialty pharmacy market now is completely different. It didn't exist when I was sitting in your chairs. And so specialty drugs kind of don't have a definition. They're high-cost drugs. They usually have some sort of handling thing with them, like they have to be refrigerated or something like that. Maybe an injectable. Typically with a specialty pharmacy program or specialty pharmacy, you will put a specialty pharmacy program around a drug. And so, for example, if I'm on Sprycel, which is one of our drugs, on day 1, I would consult the patient. I would give an adherence screening. You would do all these things. On day 7, I would call the patient, and this is all scripted out. I would see the start date of the medication. I would ask a series of questions to screen for toxicities. I have a plan in place to get back to the prescriber if the patient is having toxicities. I call the patient at day 21 to schedule the next shipment, and then whatever your plan is. So every drug has a plan that's detailed. You collect data on the patients to ensure that they're taking, because the last thing, if you're a payer or even a prescriber, that you want is a patient to get a drug and either one, A, not take it, 2, not be adherent, because that's a lot of money, right? If it's a weekly drug and you miss a dose, sometimes $3,000 to $4,000. Or if they're not storing it correctly. So all of those things, so specialty pharmacy is developed into a very high-touch model. So those are the types of roles. So you can do program development there. You can be a pharmacist who actually does the dispensing and counseling. You can be a pharmacist who does the checking if you're not a people person. So there's all those different career paths in those sort of non-traditional either retail or hospital spaces. So, any questions? Yes?
How would you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style is I would describe myself as a servant leader because I want everyone to be successful and I want to support everyone in their ideas. And so I find out what my people's interests are and I help to bring them up to whatever they desire to do. Because if someone desires to do something, they're going to do it well beyond someone that you tell them to do it in the past. Any others? Yes?
How do you think the PBM industry will change in the next 10 to 20 years?
Can you
So-
repeat the question?
Sure, thanks. How do you repeat the PBM, how do you think the PBM industry will change over the next several, up to 20 years? We don't have an answer for that, so, it's hard to say. If you don't follow healthcare policy, you need to start right now. If you don't truly understand PBMs, you need to start right now, because it's part of pharmacy holistically. And so the easiest way I do that is go onto Twitter, and you can start following, he's laughing at me. We call it tweet snap when we talk about social media to my kids, because I'm like, get off that tweet snap stuff. Get on Twitter, follow Adam Fine, or subscribe to Drug Channels, and he does really excellent write-ups about what's going on in PBMs. There's several others. Follow the FDA commissioner, follow HHS secretary, follow Seema Verma, CMS, and you will stay up to date on healthcare policy. They constantly tweet this stuff out. That's how I keep up.
Other questions for Dr. Wong?
And by the way, the man sitting next to where my husband sat, right, Mr. Perdue, the guy sitting next to him to his left, my father, is the only person on the planet who calls me Dr. Wong.
Other questions?
Well, thank you for giving